Original post: cheated on my husband during a very bad spell in our young marriage about 2 years ago. After telling him I had emotionally fallen for someone else, he said he wanted to work it out. I kept the fact that I had slept with someone else a secret and worked hard on our marriage and myself over the last 2 years to much success. We're both very happy. However, the repression and self-hatred was getting out of control, and after a suicide attempt, I admitted to my husband recently that the affair was also physical. He's forgiven me and wants to move on. I'm having a hell of a time forgiving myself. How can I accomplish this and begin to move on as he has? First, I'd like to thank everyone for their answers. Whether insightful or transgressive, they were read and acknowledged privately. Yeah, so hours after having posted to RA about this, my husband came home from work and told me he had read them. He's an avid Redditor, but our subreddit interests are somewhat different that I didn't expect him to look at RA. He hugged me and gave me a big smile. Mostly, as he said, I wasn't trying to run away from the problem. Rather, I was looking for help as to how to take it on. And that meant a lot to him. As of then, I never wanted to look back again. It wasn't easy, but I achieved it. I forgave myself and am moving on. So I began talking about my feelings, my day, but mostly, why I love him. Every day I tell him why I like him and why I'm lucky to have him. And he never grows tired of it. If anything, it's boosted his confidence and performance at work and, other areas. In turn, he's begun speaking to me. He tells me thoughts and opinions without the fear of my now lessened oversensitivity. He's not done much of this before, and while great, it certainly has us butting heads. Because my confidence is growing, too. I began with dressing myself up a bit every day, even if I didn't go out. Then I added making the bed. Then I added Khan Academy vids, Project Euler problems to boost my confidence and my intelligence. Then it kinda grew from there. Since our confidences have shot up for both of us, so has conflict. However, we both knew it's part of a growth process. He's now more vocal with his needs, and now I stand up for myself. A large amount of the issues that have plagued us from the very beginning of our relationship have been talked about and resolved. We're also beginning to speak in each other's language of love. His being touch, action, mine being talk, gifts. It's working out wonderfully. I'm currently looking for work in SF as I'm finished my paperwork for graduation. College is over. Yay. Hubs is looking at some major positive developments at work, and we're becoming more socially active. I had no idea our friends missed us. We both give credit to our increasingly ideal home life. We're making it happen, and it's great. To those who find themselves in a similar situation as I was, if you're truly sorry for your actions, and you say you're willing to do anything because you love this person with everything you've got, do it. Change for the better. Become a bigger contribution to your relationship and to society. Especially let them know how much they're wanted. But most importantly, truly learn from your mistakes and forgive yourself. Because when you do, happiness in a relationship thrives. No more dark clouds of regret or guilt. Just smiles, kisses, and love. While I'm nowhere near an expert on relationships, I hope my story will help someone about to make the mistake, living with it, or dealing with the consequences. I'm lucky as fuck to have a man who stayed. Even if yours doesn't. Resolve the baggage. Your next love doesn't deserve your sadness over another relationship. I hope this has helped. And thank you again. Story 2. So she's still with the AP, and has been wanting to have a deep and meaningful foreclosure, I guess. The other day I said screw it and over text let her get it out. I knew that it was better for me to just let her get it out so it could be behind us. It started because this past Saturday we both were at an event, and she was upset that I was so friendly to everyone but so cold to her. Did I mention that she had the AP with her at said event? Anyway, Sunday I get a text from her asking me if I couldn't stand to be around her. Hated her divided by etc. I told her that I have no problem being around her as we share custody of our son, so I've long since grown accustomed to her being a presence in our lives. However, with the AP following her around like a lost puppy, I kept my distance. Probably more so than I would have if he had not been there. She then goes on these long messages about how she wishes she had gone about things differently, that she was selfish with what she did, and all this stuff, basically telling me that she regrets the way she went about things. Thing is, I don't think she regrets it because of the pain she caused me. No, she regrets it because now she is stuck with her AP, who is 14 years her junior and has to somehow decide if she will marry him before the end of the year or else his visa expires and he goes back home. I think she misses the stability that I provided, and now with the AP her future is uncertain. I think she tried to insinuate that she wishes I had fought for her. I reminded her that I had offered to do whatever possible if there was any chance to save our marriage, and she looked at me like a wounded animal and told me no. Now she turns around and tries to say that, yes, she did reject my offer, but if it was her, she wouldn't have left it at that. I just laughed, because this is a woman that early on referred to him as her life partner, imported him from another country, and continued seeing him. And somehow, with all this behavior that indicated otherwise, I was supposed to just fight for her. Nah, screw that. I'm good. Then, on the day that would have been our wedding anniversary, she has the nerve to message me to say ironically happy wedding anniversary with a sad emoji. I genuinely forgot it was even our anniversary, and made sure she knew. I know some of you will tell me to just tell her to leave me alone. But for now, I just let her get it out and go through the canned response of telling her that we can't change the past and need to just focus on being good co-parents. There was a time when the thought of her doing this would have seemed poetic. I thought that when the fog lifted, and she saw the error of her ways, I would feel good to see her laying these breadcrumbs of her unhappiness and what surely is her trying to find a way to weasel her way back into my life. But I know that it doesn't change that this all happened, that I can never fully trust her, and that this was all for nothing if, as it appears, her relationship with the AP is not panning out as she had hoped. I kind of feel for her, as this is a person I cared for, and she has messed up her life so badly. If not for the fact that our son is in the picture, I would not care an iota. But with him in the picture, I do my best to keep things amicable. Anyway, thanks for reading if you got this far. This was mainly for me to just get this out, as it is surreal that, though expected, I am witnessing the likely implosion of her relationship with the AP, which though makes me happy that this kid might finally be out of our lives soon, doesn't change the damage she has left in her wake. For those that are waiting for the ex to come back, especially if it is just to see them beg, know that it doesn't change anything. When it passes, you're left in the same exact situation as before. Only now you probably have an ex who is desperate to get you back for stability, and won't take a hint. Story 3. I'm writing this here as a form of therapy, a way to get my thoughts out in a pragmatic way. Today, against everything I said in my previous posts and comments, I went to go see Sue. She's been out of the hospital 4 days now, and believe it or not, it was Nina who convinced me I need to see her. She said the only way I'd let go of the contempt I feel for her is to see her one last time, in her weakened state. So around 6 p.m., I called her for the first time since I served her. Her hello wasn't the bright and bubbly hello I'd know for over 2 decades. Her voice was hoarse and weak. The moment she heard my voice, she immediately began crying. Took almost 3 minutes for her to regain composure enough to talk again. Before she could say anything, I told her I was coming to see her by 8 p.m. And she agreed. It's about an hour and a half from Coopus City, where my new apartment is, to my old home. So I grabbed a bite to eat from the local pizzeria and started on my way there. I got there about 7:47 p.m., and she was already at the door before I pulled into the driveway. As I came near, I could see the toll her actions had taken on her. She was noticeably thinner, the unhealthy kind of thin. As a whole, she looked like the Walking Dead. First thing she does is try to come in for a hug, and I stop her cold. She got the hint that I wasn't there to console her, and backed off immediately. We go inside and sit in the living room. Almost immediately, Sue tells me she wants to come clean about everything. She tells me she couldn't live with the guilt of what she did to me and the boys. From the day we signed the separation agreement, she went into a downward spiral of guilty and agony that led her to her suicide attempt. Her friend, the one that called me from the hospital, had noticed her behavior and started coming over to check in on her. She said the doctors told her had she not been found just an hour more, she would have succeeded. She admitted to failing me as a wife, that her falling for Paz was wrong, as was her choice not to pull back when she knew she was getting too deep. She also apologized for sharing the many intimate details of our marriage and speaking ill of me to him, that she never imagined herself being the kind of person who was capable of doing that, but she was. She said she believed in her head that she was doing the right thing, but ultimately when she thought I was cheating, it all hit her like a ton of bricks. The feeling of betrayal was suffocating, and she had to get out of as soon as possible. But it was obviously too late by then. She then asked me at what point did I stop caring, to which I said the night she confronted me with the notion of me cheating with the fervor that did. Knowing full well she'd been fucking Paz for months at that point, I lost all respect for her, and it steeled my resolve to enact my plan. She told me that when she woke up Christmas morning and found the gift I left, she was over the moon, until she opened it. That when she realized what it was, and how much I had known, she literally went mad, and hasn't set foot in our bedroom since. She was frantically trying to find if anyone knew where I was. But when she went on FB to ask, she started getting thrashed by friends and family about what she had done, but had no idea how everyone knew so fast. That's when I told her about the other binders. The look of shock on her face was priceless. It all dawned her that I did this to her. Everything she's gone through, her friends turning on her family shaming her, and yes, even her losing her job was my doing. She just fell silent and shut down after that. I took the time to go use the bathroom then, and it was in shambles. The mirror was broken. Her skincare products were all over the place, and the tub looked like it hadn't been cleaned since they took her to the hospital. When I came back out to the living room, she has her face in her hands weeping, and I can honestly say I felt nothing. No more anger, no more rage, and absolutely not a shred of pity. They say the opposite of love is indifference. Looking at her, that's all I felt. She looks up at me and says I fucked everything up. I ruined us, and I have no idea what to do. I can't do this by myself. I tell her she's got her family, her friend who found her, and our sons. But she doesn't have me. She never will, ever again. I tell her I came to give her closure from the ordeal she just subjected herself to. But the moment I walk out that door, I'm never looking back. So the topic of Paz comes up not long after. She tells me he reached out to her 2 days ago. They talked for a couple hours and it ended with her telling him he needs to move on with his life. Find a younger woman and forget she exists. The remainder of the convo was Sue apologizing for he betraying me and asking again, was this really the end? I look her dead in the eyes with no hesitation and say yes. It's been over long before I served the divorce notice on Christmas. I felt that was my cue to depart. No words were said, because what more could be said? I left her sitting on the couch, closed the door behind me, got in my car and drove home. It's 2:56 a.m. as I'm typing this. I needed to get this out while it's fresh in my head. This is it. The saga of Sue is done. 17 and I are both scheduled for counseling in the coming weeks. Nina and I are still going strong and sticking to the plan of keeping things under wraps until my divorce is final. I'm staying active and motivated and looking forward to a future with a woman I know will cherish and honor me, because she's done so from the shadows for decades. It's time for me to focus on the life ahead of me. So this will probably be the last time I post for a while. Maybe I'll come back with an update when the divorce is official. To everyone who has sent me words of encouragement and well wishes, thank you. To all of those who praised me for my plan of revenge, I can honestly say I wish it never came to it. But if I had to go back and do it again, I wouldn't change a single thing I did, aside from maybe doing more to Paz than just getting him fired. And to the one guy who harassed me saying I deserved it because I raped my wife, you're fucking delusional. And get fucked, you tag nut. Hopping my green ass on outta here.